I'm going to take a few minutes and talk about how to sharpen a knife. So, I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube on how to sharpen a knife. It's not really the way I was taught to sharpen them. While they do get the job done, I just figured I'd go over it. Now, this red mat that I've got here is just one of those no-slip cabinet liners. My wife buys them by the roll and puts them in the cabinets. I just got an end piece off of it to use on the stone. I have stones at home. I bought one for this. This, or silicon carbide, I believe it is, that is at Harbor Freight for $1.99. It's a cheap stone, and it's never been used. We have a rough side. Get that right? Yeah, rough side and a fine side. I picked up this old-timer pocket knife at a junk shop. It's got no edge to it whatsoever. Grabbed a piece of newspaper. Yeah, I got a little bit of an edge, but not much. So, I was always taught to use oil on stones. I know some people use water, and if that's what you want to use, you're welcome to use it. But I use oil, and the first time I use a stone, we're going to soak this stone in a little bit of 3-in-1 oil and just let it soak it in. 3-in-1 oil is actually a light machine oil and is really good for this purpose. I even saw a guy on YouTube talking about how you shouldn't use oil because oil makes it slippery. No, what oil does is it creates a slurry from the pieces that are rubbed off by the blade. I'm going to put a little more on it. We want to put oil onto it until it doesn't absorb the oil. So as it stands, it's still absorbing oil. These stones are porous. They're designed to be that way. There we go. Just going to rub it around with my finger. Get it all over the stone. Now, once you've used oil on a stone, they are correct. You probably shouldn't use water on it afterwards. You can in a pinch. When I was in Boy Scouts, if we didn't have oil with us, we'd use water. However, I'd like to point out that you don't have to use 3-in-1 oil. I've used olive oil, cooking oil, heck, I used bacon grease. As long as it's runny, it will work. Alright, I think this is going to be about it. Alright, so run this oil around a little bit. I'll need some more. The way my grandfather taught me to sharpen a knife, this is the blade, this is the back, was to always pull away from the blade of the knife, never towards it. If you pull towards it, you're cutting into the stone, and you can damage that blade. So, next is what angle? Because that question comes up a lot. You start with the blade flat, and you tilt it until it hits the angle. You can feel it, or I can feel it. You tilt it until it hits the correct angle for that blade has been beveled to on the secondary bevel. The primary bevel is flat, then the secondary bevel comes to the point. So, it's best if you do this even strokes on each side. Go ahead and add more oil to it. It's still absorbing it. Now, when you have a smaller stone, like a small hand stone and not one that's big that sits on a table, you really want to do this because you're always pulling the blade away. If you pull into the blade, you can hit your finger. That'll mess up your day real quick. Alright. I'm just working the coarse side of this stone. First time you sharpen knives, you probably want to spend some time getting your angles down. When you've done it as long as I have, you just kind of hit the angle. You know where it is, you know what it needs to be. Now I'm looking at the edge. We got a good, straight, good even cut on it. Okay, we're going to flip over and start working this on the fine side. Wouldn't surprise me if somebody notices that that newspaper is in Spanish. I'm in Texas. And in Texas, Spanish and English are spoken. You can always tell someone who's not from Texas when they get here. They usually make some comment about how everybody ought to speak English. And surprise, but Texas was a Spanish-speaking nation before it joined the U.S. back in 1836, I believe it was. It may have been its independence. It's been a while since I was in school and had to remember that type stuff. And yes, Grandpa si habla español. Alright, let's see how this is doing. Oh yeah. Now see, without a strop, I'm not going to get it to shave hair. These stones are nice, they're cheap, but they just don't get that fine. I might be able to work at it for a while and get it, but I wouldn't hold my breath. I get a strop. I can strop this knife after doing this and get a nice, sharp edge. I say sharp, it's not actually razor sharp. It is hair cutting sharp. And I had intended to bring one of my microtome blades, which is actually razor sharp. And the way you test those is you take a hair and you hold it a half an inch above the cutting edge of the blade with the blade up, and you drop the hair. If the hair hits the blade and cleanly snaps in two, then it's razor sharp. There we go. Nice, clean cut. Yeah. It's kind of a wrinkled up newspaper, but a nice clean cut. That stone is now oiled. So what I can do, put the top back on this, is go ahead and wrap it in this no-slip mat. That's the way I keep the one that I have at the house. Just wrapped up in a no-slip mat, just like that. That way I know what it is, and when I need it I can get it, and the no-slip mat's right there. Take a minute and say thank you for watching. You have a wonderful day, and if you would, go ahead and like, comment, and if you don't mind, subscribe. Thank you.